Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're actually going to start something a little bit new. If you guys don't know, I'm actually part of a brokerage called Wealth Partners Realty Group, and pretty much we have probably now like 10 to 11 new agents in the group, which is really great. I've actually have talked to multiple people about getting into real estate, becoming agents in some way, shape, or form. And I thought it might be a little simpler if I actually made some videos, because there's a lot of other people that maybe not in Texas or wherever they're at that, you know, have thought about getting into real estate and maybe need a little bit more background into what it involves, how you do things, you know, strategies, marketing. There's a lot that goes into real estate. I think a lot of people have the misconception that, you know, we charge a commission and we just list a house and hopefully a buyer picks up and then that's it. There's a lot more to that, and it's a lot more work than a lot of people think. And so if you are thinking about getting into real estate, I think it would be productive if I kind of give you a kind of a broad view of what comes in it and what is required of you, especially if you want to be a really good agent in the market, and especially in this market. At the time of this recording, it's already about to be November 2023. As everybody knows, interest rates are very high. There's a lot of things going on, and so it's not as easy. But a lot of agents that maybe are not, I would say, well trained, because there was a time that I wasn't really trained very well, and being in the market was just, no matter what it was just very hard. And so there's pros to it, there's cons to it, and before you take that step of like going to your classes and paying the money and it's time, you might want to get a little aspects of like what it takes to be in real estate, because you're not going to get that time back. You're not going to get that money back. And so I would like for you to make the best decisions for yourself, knowing a little bit more about what it is to be in real estate. So first things first, I want to thank my brokerage, Wealth Partners Realty Group, here in San Antonio, Texas, as well as Rev Mortgage, who's actually the sponsoring loan company that we go through. They're a mortgage company that we have a lot of great people, like Steven Stubbs is my personal loan officer that I like to work with, and we like to thank Chris and Cody for letting us use their space. Sometimes when y'all see the regular podcast, it's usually at their place. Here's my room. I'm a nerd, so that being said, thank them for all their support. But let's go ahead and jump into it. The first thing I want to talk about is pretty much my experience being in real estate and kind of my background. I've actually been a realtor for over 5 years now. I feel like, I think a lot of you guys have felt this way. If I would have just stuck to what I wanted to do, I probably would have gotten my license a lot sooner than I did. I come from a background of like not being very school savvy. Reading's kind of hard for me. I'm also dyslexic, ADHD. And so, let's see, I graduated in 08, probably back in, I want to say 2010 maybe. I was thinking about getting my real estate license, and I, you know, even paid for my first class, and I got the book, and I picked a self-paced class. I picked a class where it was online. I didn't have an instructor. It was giving me a pace to kind of go through myself and read on my own. And that was like the worst thing I could have ever done, because it was very intimidating for me. I was just like, there is no way I'm going to remember all this. There is no way I'm going to understand this. Like, I have nobody to ask questions to. And at that time, I didn't know anybody in real estate to kind of have like a guiding hand to figure these things out. So I ended up not getting my real estate license, and I think that was one of the biggest mistakes. I wish I would have gotten it a lot sooner than what I did. I actually got my license in 2019, so about 9 to 10 years later, after going through all these other jobs, which were fine, because I got into a lot of other sales jobs, door knocking, car sales, and it kind of prepared me a little bit more. But again, if I could have gotten sooner, I would have. I did get my license in 2019 after speaking with a few people about what it takes to get into real estate. I actually was an assistant manager at an apartment complex, and then a sales leasing agent too. And so talking to people about apartments and stuff, I ended up finding out that you don't have to sell houses to be in real estate. You can actually help people find apartments. and they pay pretty well. You know, there's a lot of apartments here in San Antonio. Some pay, you know, a couple $100, but the majority of them will pay you 50% or more. And what I mean by that, let's say, you know, it's a 1 bedroom in a good side of town. It's $1,000 a month. Sometimes $1,300 is about the norm if you're trying to get a pretty nice apartment for a 1 bedroom. 50% of 1,000 would be $500, and it goes up from there. There's apartment complexes that have paid me 150%, 125% of the first month's rent. So if your rent is $1,300 and they pay you 100%, that's $1,300. And of course, there's brokers' fees and things like that. And we'll talk about that in another video too. And especially leave stuff in the comments if you wanted me to go a little bit deeper on a subject that I kind of just touch over. That would be really great. So that being said, I actually ended up getting my license and going to my first brokerage, was mainly consistent of what's called an apartment locator, which is people just helping people find apartments. And being on that side, the clients don't pay me directly to help them, nor are they charged anything. It's normally going to be the apartment complex that has a set amount of a commission that they'll pay. And if I get them signed up for a certain amount of times, because like sometimes they're like, hey, if it's less than 6 months, it pays this month. If it's 12 months or more, it pays this. So it just depends. It's not set in stone. But you get them signed up, they move in, and usually they need to at least get past their first month of paying their rent on time. Sometimes it's 3 months. Like, it just really depends. And we'll do a video about apartment locating if you guys want to. I could always go down deeper in that. But there was agents there that I would speak to that have had their license longer than me, and they were making 5 figures per month doing just apartments. And so in my head, I never thought about selling a house. And when I was in class, it just seemed so difficult because there was contracts and you have to put offers in and you got to take people places. And it just seemed like a lot without, like I said, I never really had like a mentor. And like I said, there was a few people I talked to, but it was mainly at this apartment locating brokerage. And so when I would bring up like selling houses, it would just go straight back to like, well, apartments is way easier. You can make way more money selling apartments, which is not wrong. Like, if you're consistent, you have good flow, like you can make quite a bit of money doing apartments. And I still do apartments till this day. I actually just got somebody leased up at Ventura Ridge. It's an apartment on the north side of town next to the Rim. 1 bedroom was $1,215. I got paid 75%, so it's about $911. They're not moving in until December, but got somebody signed up there, and it was on their first try of us trying to find them a place. You know, I sent them a list of apartments. They picked a few. We discussed it a little bit. Went to go tour. They fell in love with the place, so we never had to go to the other places. So in that aspect, it was very simple. And as you continue to do more and more in real estate, you end up setting up systems and things to make things easier for you, because it's all about working smarter and not harder, because the more deals you can do, the more money you can make, and it just makes more sense. So to kind of speed things up a little bit, I actually switched brokers a few times. The next broker saw me marketing on Facebook, and she's like, hey, I'm up here in Dallas. We're a mobile brokerage, so there's not an office. You don't have to be here in Dallas. It's just, I'm your broker, I'll sponsor you, and any deals you have going through, instead of paying like a certain percent amount on that, you just pay me a flat fee of $75, and then every month is a flat fee of $80 for like kind of like a desk fee. So I ended up switching because at the brokerage I was at, they were taking like 30% off of me, and I was just, in my head, I didn't know if that was good or bad. It was just, it is what it was, because I didn't shop around for any other brokerages, and we'll talk about that too. But I just did it, So if in a given month, I think my best month was maybe $10,000, and they took $3,000 out of that, which sounds like a lot. I'm still very blessed that I made $7,000, but then you have to think about taxes and stuff, and it's a lot. So if you can find a place that you're comfortable with with splits, we call them splits. And like I said, I will do another video, and because it's very important that you shop around and try and find the best place for you. Sometimes you pay more in your splits, but the place just fits you better. Sometimes you pay like nothing in splits, and the place is just horrible. So we'll talk about that later though. So I ended up switching over to that brokerage. I stayed with them for maybe 6 months. Because I ended up actually at this point finding friends that were in real estate, and they wanted me to go to their brokerage and stuff like that. So ended up doing that. But again, never in the time that I was doing this real estate, this is probably like 2 years in now. Never in the time frame that I've ever had anybody sit me down and train me of how to lead generate, how to create content or market myself or anything. I was learning everything by myself, mainly doing my own research on YouTube and Google and trying to just figure things out. And so I was doing okay. I wasn't doing great now that I think about it. Like, it wasn't like high volume. And so I'm trying to figure things out, and eventually, like I said, I ended up switching brokers again, and being there and training was very minimal, and I'm just like, I need to figure something out. So I would say one of the biggest cons to real estate is that I don't know if you understand this, but like, I was just at a conference. It was a wealth building conference, and they talk about how income works. There's 2 types of income for the most part. There's income that's a bucket. Like, if you fill a bucket of water, and every time you get thirsty, you take water out of that bucket and you drink it. Well, what happens to the water? It goes down. And so eventually, if you take too much water out of it, which is spending more money, you're gonna run out of water. You're gonna run out of money. And so you always got to refill that bucket. And it's pretty much in the concept of, like, in real estate, you always got to make deals. It's hustle, 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 because if you don't make any deals, you don't refill up your bucket, which is your savings, and then you keep spending money, which is drinking water, you start getting behind in bills. You don't have any money, you can't do nothing. So the other concept is you need your income to be like a running river, which is consistent, because if you take water out of that river, it's gonna accumulate on its own because it has a source that's continuous. And so that's more of maybe getting a portfolio of getting rental properties that, you know, pay you consistently, opening up businesses, things like that. And we'll talk about that too. I'm actually going to two conferences. In 2 weeks is a real estate conference, and then at the beginning of December is going to be a stocks and trading conference. So anything I learn, of course, I'm going to let you guys know about it, because the whole concept of this YouTube channel and this in general things I'm trying to do is teach you guys how to build wealth and live a good life without having to pay a lot for it. Because a lot of times with things like this, they want you to pay $500 for a ticket to go hear somebody talk, and then they just scratch the surface. They don't give you the full meat. They just feed you some vegetables and hopefully you're full. And I don't like that. You work really hard for the money you have, and if you're gonna pay for something, you want to make sure you get it worth. And if I ever do charge something down the line in the future, like, because I would love to do my own conference or an event. It's not going to be outrageous. At the same time too, I hope whenever you leave there, you're like, man, I got my money's worth and more. But for right now, we're doing YouTube videos, and I just ask that you guys subscribe. I'd be really thankful for that, and put the notification bell so that way when we have new videos, you guys can see them. We try to post at least one podcast video every Monday, and then these types of videos are going to be kind of sporadic type of thing. So yeah, so one thing in being a realtor is you're gonna hustle. You're gonna have to continuously fill up your bucket, and eventually you guys will get tired of that. You're gonna try to think of something outsourced to generate a river of income. But real estate is really good transactionally with these deals, because a lot of times people don't make the money that we do, especially when you start getting to houses. I will be transparent. Like, I just closed the house. Actually, I have one under contract right now, and I just closed 2 more. And the 2 before it were actually 6%. So what that means is whenever you sell something, it's always based on a percentage. It's normally 3% is the norm, but there's some, sometimes that some sellers are really trying to sell something, and so what they do is they incentivize realtors to bring people to them by offering more money. Just like anything else, if you can make more money, you're going to want to like focus on that and bring people to that. At the same time too, we want to make sure that those houses and those deals are beneficial to our clients, because above the money, as a realtor, you do take an oath that your duties are to your buyer or your client, because if you're selling something, like you're representing them, so you don't want to put them in bad positions. And so we sit you down and do all the math and everything, all the logistic stuff, to make sure that you're well aware of everything that's going on before you make a deal. And just lucky enough, the houses that were up at 6% fit what my clients were looking for, financially, location wise, house wise, warranty wise, everything just worked. So I was lucky enough that they did select a house that offered a 6%. So, for example, I think one was like 310. I think at 6%, it's like $16,000. I can't remember exactly. I'm not gonna do math, but after cuts and everything, I walked away probably with like 14 grand in one deal that took me 30 days to do. And that's more than what people make sometimes in a year or in half a year. And I'm very blessed that I'm able to do things like that. And I will say real estate is not for everybody. Not everybody is well versed to do and be transitional, because on the backside of that, you don't know when your next deal is coming. You have to be very, you have to save your money, be prudent, not be excessive, because let's say, you burn through your 14K in a month or two, and then you don't have any deals lined up or anything. What are you gonna do? You got bills coming up. So there's been times that it's been stressful. And two things. One is just, for whatever reason, you're not getting any leads, or the leads you're getting are not good. I think 2 months ago, I did a whole ad run, putting money on ads and stuff like that. And I had 20 people fill out my ad to want to buy a house. And I think 17 out of 20 had bad credit or didn't have the income to qualify for a house at the time, right? And right now, I think the interest rates are like 7-8%, and that plays a part of it too. But we'll jump into that in another video. Like I said, that's the thing with real estate. Like, people think it's easy. There's a lot that goes into it. There's so many different things: laws, contracts, rates, lenders, loan officers. There's a lot that goes onto it. You don't just sign a paper and you're done. Like, it's a lot. You got to follow up. Like, I just had a client that we just closed on text me. She got a paper in the mail about taxes. She was like, do I have to pay this? And so I had to go back and let her know that, hey, no, your tax payments are in your escrow, and your escrow pays them every October, and things like that. So whenever we sell you the house, we're not just done with you. We're here for you for any questions, as well as like if you want to get into like investment property or you need to upgrade, lots of things. So yeah, so recapping that part is, one of the biggest things when it being a real estate agent, you are 1099. You got to do your own taxes. So you got to figure out tax codes and tax regulations, and find your CPA, and you find your tax person. Like, there's other stuff, and again, we'll get to that in another video, because that's a whole separate thing. So the main thing was, income is very volatile, and there's some agents that they just got it. Income's always coming in. They're hustling every month's a check, and they're on it. But that's the thing, you have to be consistent. You got to be on it. You got to continuously be putting deals and networking and marketing with people and making sure everybody's taken care of, and juggling 4 or 5 deals at a time. Like, it's exhausting. But again, for me, I've had a lot of jobs in my life. Out of all the jobs I've had in my life, nothing benefits me more than being a realtor. I have the freedom. That's one pro, is you have freedom. You don't have to work. Again, you got to be consistent, because if you decide not to work, you don't make no deals. But you can take vacations whenever you want, whenever time allows you, because it's kind of back and forth, because you have the freedom to do that, but at the same time, you have to be consistent, because the time you take off is time you could have been working deals or marketing or doing something, and so it can be hurtful. So you got to be able to balance that. And I will tell you, that was one of my biggest things, is the freedom. It's weird, because after so long of like working 9 to 5s and somebody telling me when to be at work and telling me what to do, giving me the option to tell me when I want to work, especially if you're very emotional. Like, I have I was I was diagnosed with bipolar depression. So there's some months that I am good to go and I'm awesome, I'm on it, and then for no apparent reason, boom, I'm just like, I don't want to do anything in life, which is why I have medication. And so some of you guys may deal with that situation, but I will say, as a realtor working in the market that's doing pretty good, you can still do it. You're perfectly fine as long as you think about what you're going to do and how you're going to situate those things, and preparing for when those moments come where the medication may not work as well, and you're in that moment of like, oh man, I don't like this and I don't want to work. So I do take days off sometimes, and I have clients that are trying to reach out to me, and I have to, like, in my moments, just like, all right, I'm texting them back, I'm calling them back. I don't want to do this, but I got to. And it's not because I don't want to help them or anything. It's just internally, chemically wise, I just don't feel like it. So that's something you got to think about. There's other aspects other than being in real estate that can affect you, and you like the freedom, and you have to be able to organize yourself to do those things. And being organized, you have papers upon papers, files upon files, deals upon deals, emails upon emails, phone calls, text messages, follow up. It's a lot, and so you have to be able to work that. That's not a normal thing. A lot of people, and then some people do, but not a lot of people know how to run a business. You know, you got to learn these things or have a mentor to teach you and walk you through it, and it's a lot. And so again, not having a mentor, I had to learn all these things by myself. And to this day, like I said, I don't know everything. Lucky enough, I'm finally with a company called Wealth Partners Realty Group, who my broker is Nadine Long, who's been in real estate for over 8 years now, and she's amazing. I kid you not. Like, if I need something, I can call and text her, and if she doesn't answer, because of course she's running a business too and she has a family, she'll get back to me at least, you know, to follow up with me when she has time. And there's never been a time that I had a question and it doesn't go unanswered. And I'm thankful for that, because I've had brokers or other people that I try to reach out to, and it's just like dead silence. And I'm just like, I'm trying to do something here and you're not helping me. Why am I paying you so much off my commissions if this is the help I'm getting, you know? Because as a broker, they're your sponsoring brokers. They're there to help you. And so there's a lot of responsibility and a lot of expectations that comes with me putting my livelihood in your hands to say, hey, if you're going to be my broker and I'm going to be your agent and we're going to make each other money, like, I'm making the deals, you're getting a cut, like, I expect a certain amount of respect and time from you when I need it, because there's things I don't know, which is why I'm under you. You're my broker because you have more experience than me and you can help me. That's the whole point of this, you know, coincide relationship between one another. And I think a lot of brokers take that for advantage, or just don't have the time and shouldn't be full-time brokers. Maybe they need associate brokers with them. So if you had to ask me the biggest things when it comes to being a realtor, is the freedom. You have to manage your freedom, understand the volatileness of income, and then understand that it's not an overnight thing. You're not going to sell a house overnight. If you do, great. But for the majority of agents that enter this field, it takes time and a lot of hard work. And that's kind of why I like it more, because when I feel like, I don't know if I made it, but when I feel like I finally made it, like I'm a top producing agent, my business is doing great, you know, things are going well, I can literally look back and be like, I did this. I made it. The Lord blessed me and He provided everything, all the tools I needed, and all I had to do was work and be consistent. I did it type of thing. So I will say, and that goes for a lot of different jobs, but for me, like being a realtor, there's a lot that you can't automate. Like, you have to do it to be successful. And there's a certain amount of pride that comes to that. It's like, wow, I did this. You know, people said I couldn't do it, but I did it. And that's what I love about it. And so if you're like, after listening to all this and you're still interested and you're just like, man, I would love to be a broker. And I will say, it's a lot of hours. Can you do it part-time? Yes. Can you be more successful full-time? Yes. It all comes down to the type of person you are, how much time and effort you're going to put into it. If you sign up and be a realtor and you're just expecting people to call you, you're expecting people to use you, there's going to be family members that know you're a realtor and won't use you for whatever reason. I've had multitude of realtors that I've talked to that happens all the time. And they'll be like, oh, I forgot you're a realtor. Or, oh yeah, well, we were talking to some random guy and he was already on it. So we just kind of just kept with him. Like, and it's like, bro. So, having thick skin, like there's people that talk to you a certain way because they feel entitled, like they can. And you're just like, the great thing about that though, is as a 1099, you can just say bye. You don't have to work with anybody you don't want to, which is great. I've had to fire clients sometimes because whether they're being very disrespectful and rude to me or my wife, because she's a realtor as well, or they, just don't understand, or like you're trying to get a hold of them and they just don't answer. And it's super important. Like, it's just a waste of time. So that's one thing, whenever you're working at, like, I've worked at, retail jobs before, and you have to stand there and take it, and people are talking to you, and you can't run. You're on the clock. You're on somebody's clock. So being on my own clock, I have my own expectation of how I want things done. And of course, when things aren't favorable for me, I can walk away, or I can, go through it and try to salvage whatever I'm trying to salvage. But if it's not worth it for me at the end of the day, I can just walk away, which is great. So I love that. But other than that, if you are thinking of becoming a realtor, I would highly suggest for you to sub here. I'm going to be making lots more videos of the realtor process and how to become, at least for the most part, a basic fundamental foundation of what it is to be a realtor and how to like get the business going. There are way more successful realtors than me. I do well, but there's still heights that I'm trying to get, milestones I'm trying to reach. But I'm making this to kind of share to you what I've done so far in my life and things that walls I've hit that maybe I'm trying to keep you from hitting. Sometimes you just have to hit a wall and figure it out. Just how you learn. Maybe you're, stubborn like me, or maybe, you just feel like it might work out and you just have to hit the wall and, oh, it didn't work out, let me try a different way. But at least I can share kind of my experiences and what I've done. So for this video, I will say, if you know anybody that's a realtor that's close to you, reaching out to them and talking to them about their experiences and how they feel about it and the market they're in, because everybody's market's different. Every city, every town, every state, everywhere is different. So what might be great here in San Antonio, Texas, may not be great in Minnesota or whatever. So you want to make sure to get local market analysis of how it's going in that market, because some markets are harder than others. I will say, being in Texas and being in San Antonio, we have a great market. We actually have about 4 months of inventory, which actually is good. I know 4 months doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually pretty good. So the rates are high right now, but there's ways around that. So, getting somebody with, at least, I would say, if they're not killing it and they're like under 2 years, at least 3 to 4, 5 years and up of experience to being in a market other than 2020 and 2021 will be helpful. 2020, 2021 were actually pretty, depends on who you talk to, but pretty easy to sell houses. So agents in that era that were doing great may be struggling right now if they didn't adapt. So you want to get with somebody, I would say find a broker. Find a seasoned agent or a broker that has the time to talk with you and mentor you. Just tell them, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a realtor. Like, would you mind sitting down with me? And I know you're a broker. I know you're an experienced realtor. I would love to see how things go and have some questions for you to see if maybe this might be something I can do. And that'd probably be the best thing for you guys. So have your options open. If you guys are here in San Antonio, Texas, or surrounding areas, we are looking for more agents. One thing, first and foremost, we are a faith-based company, a Christian company. So we want to be with like-minded people. And not to say we don't want other religions or anything like that. It's just when it comes to working with people, we don't want to clash heads. We want to be very vibe with one another. We want to be very comfortable with one another. We don't want to offend anybody, each other too. We want to make sure that the work environment is very healthy for one another. And a lot of times when you're around like-minded people, that's easier to do. And so at the same time too, our brokerage is not just transactional. We don't want to just sell you a house and make money. We want to further the kingdom of God through this, which is finding people homes for them and their family and building wealth over time. And so if you feel like that lines up with what you're trying to do and what you want to do, let me know. My number's in the description on the bottom. Be happy to talk to you, maybe sit down with you a little bit, have you meet Nadine, the broker, and kind of just go from there. In the brokerage, I'm actually one of the I have to finish getting my broker's license, but I'll probably be like a supervisory agent. But for the most part, I do all the training, and so I can help you guys with any information or any questions, and I can help you with that. So other than that, I hope you guys have a great day. God bless you. Let me know if you have any questions. And of course, if you can't reach me, you can always reach my wife, Sari Valdez. She's also a realtor there too. Her information's on the bottom as well. So other than that, guys, talk to you later.